My name is Allie Lane. I'm a business advisor with the Maine Small Business Development Center. Today's topic is kind of a light lift, and it's kind of a fun topic. Nothing super challenging or technical, but something that's very important for marketing in your business. If I can find my controls, wake my computer up. There we go. So first of all, this webinar is being recorded, so it will be sent to your email within the next week after we finish here, in case you miss anything or want to view it again. Please keep yourself on mute throughout. We've got a small group, so we can certainly do some verbal audio, come off mute at the end if there are questions. And go ahead and submit questions in the chat as we go. I might interrupt myself and try to answer them as I go, or I might just leave them to the end, depending on sort of where I'm at in the material. I don't think we'll go a full hour either, so I think there will be plenty of time at the end if there are some questions. So first off, if just briefly, if you have not heard of the organization I'm with, we're the Small Business Development Center. I am hosted at Coastal Enterprises, and I typically work in our Bangor office. We offer no-cost confidential business advising to folks who are starting, running, or exiting their small businesses in Maine. There are roughly a dozen advisors scattered around the state, so there is probably one in an office near you to connect with you. We help folks with business plans, getting financing, marketing, which is my favorite topic, talking about numbers, something that can be intimidating and unfamiliar to business owners. We're very much generalists, so if you all know your industry well, let us fill in the gaps and help with the business side of things. And we are advisors, so we are there to give our advice. It's all no cost. Take it or leave it, or set you in the right direction as needed. And at the end, there will be a link, and I think in the follow-up email as well, a link to register if you'd like to get an advisor to do some one-on-one advising. So the plan for today, I'm going to start talking about online reviews. So when we say online reviews, what sites do we mean that you should be collecting reviews on? Why are they important? How do you ask for reviews? What are some good best practices, some good strategies to make that very easy for you? We're going to talk about responding to good reviews and why you should be doing that. And we're going to talk about responding to bad or spam reviews, which unfortunately happen, and why you should be doing that. And at the end, I'm going to go through a few examples of some responses to reviews, and we're going to rate those reviews. We're going to judge some people, so that's always fun. So first off, let's talk about where you should be leaving reviews. So the most common sites, and I'm sure you've heard of them, Facebook, Google, and Yelp. These are the most common for seeking reviews. They're very sort of general, just about any business can participate on Facebook, Google, and Yelp. And it's a fit for just about any industry. There are some industry-specific places where you can collect reviews depending on what your business is. For example, TripAdvisor, if you are a travel-related type business. Angie's List, if you're a service provider or a contractor. There's OpenTable if you're a restaurant. So there's some different specific sites that you can collect reviews on based on your industry. And I would, depending on your industry, they're often less. I would prioritize them less than your general Facebook, Google, and Yelp. But they are there, and that's an option. There are some other sites that are less about marketing, but have other conversations. So you might have heard of the Better Business Bureau or Glassdoor. So Glassdoor is for reviewing employers and employees. Better Business Bureau is more about sort of general compliance, ethics, morality of larger businesses. We're not really talking about those sites today. We're really talking about sites where you collect reviews for marketing purposes. And the last sort of section of where can you collect reviews, you might have heard of testimonials, which are different from reviews. So testimonials are where you're taking somebody's review and you're putting it on your website. You're sort of claiming ownership. You're using it to broadcast your own awesomeness. Typically, testimonials are all positive. You wouldn't take a bad review and put it on your site as a testimonial. You're using it as a way to show how your customers advocate for you. We're not really talking about those today either, but it's worth acknowledging that that is a form of collecting reviews and has a lot of the same benefits as reviews. And there's a million places you can collect reviews. So I just want to point out that these are all here. I am absolutely not telling you to try to collect reviews on all of these, or even more than one or two. Those first two there, Google and Facebook, again, the most popular, those are probably the ones you're going to start with. Depending on your industry, you might tap into some of these other places, but just know there's a lot of places, and I am not saying that you need to be haggling all your customers for reviews on all these places. Just want you to know they're there, and they might be a fit for you. So where do you need to be? Which of these might be relevant for you? It's actually a very simple answer. Think about where your customers are and be where they are. Most customers are on Google, which is why it's number one on this list. If you know your customers are spending a lot of time on Home Advisor, because you are a construction contractor and that's where you get customers from, maybe you need to be there too. But figure out where your customers are and be there. Don't try to be more than a couple places. It's a similar practice towards using social media sites. Typical, it can be tempting to try to be in a lot of places, but it's really most important that you be one place in a quality presence than try to be too many places. So as of this year, the 10 best customer review sites, number 1, Google, 2, Facebook, 3, Yelp. So we're seeing a trend here, and there are some statistics. There's a link at the bottom of this slide. When you get the slides, you're welcome to click it and look into more detail, but I'm just giving the broad overview. TripAdvisor comes in at number 4. Again, if that's applicable to your industry, it can be a good option. There's a site called G2, which is more for business-to-business software companies. I've actually never heard of it until I found this website. So unless you're a software company, probably not relevant. And Amazon is number 6. So this is just statistically updated as of October 2023, which sites are what SEMrush refers to as the best. So most number of customers seeking information about businesses. So let's get into the why. And we'll do this briefly because I know that if you're here, it's probably because you've already acknowledged that reviews online are important, but we'll refresh. So statistically, 79% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. 9 out of 10 customers read reviews before making a purchase. In general, this is sort of encompassing all industries, obviously some more so than others, but 90% of people reading reviews. And product pages with reviews experience 3.5 times more conversions. So a conversion is when someone sees your content online and it drives them to do something like make a purchase of a product. So it's one thing for you to have a ton of traffic on your website or your Facebook page or any other social medias or your Google page. But if that traffic isn't doing anything for you, if they're not actually reaching out or eventually becoming a customer, it's kind of like, well, where am I losing them? Why aren't they following through and giving me their money? So in general, having reviews, having your customers speak for you, and not just you putting out your content on the internet, but having people give you star ratings or write a testimonial to speak to how awesome you were, obviously increases credibility. But there are other benefits that are sort of less known, less noticed, I guess. It gives any customer a chance to interact with you and for you to interact with them. The thing about marketing is that there is so much noise. There's so much getting thrown at customers every day. I mean, you think about just since you've been up this morning, all of the different marketing that's come at you, on the radio or vehicles driving by with a sign on them for their company, or even just in conversation with people talking about different business products and whatnot. Or if you pick up, your phone and you start scrolling social media, how many ads you're interacting with on a daily basis. it's really hard to be memorable these days. So any opportunity to have a back and forth with a customer that's a little bit deeper than them just seeing your content is a beautiful thing. So reviews give you a chance to interact with people. Feedback. That's the other thing. People love sharing their opinion. Don't know if you've noticed that on the internet lately, but not only is interaction good because it's just a touch point with people so that they remember you and you become more relevant to them, but it gives them a chance to give you feedback, which they love to do, and gives you a chance to take that feedback, the positive and the negative, and, you know, change things about your business as needed. I always do like to point out that it can be tempting when you get your first bad review to want to change whatever it was in that person's review, whatever they said they had a problem with. And you have to take it, the bad review, sort of with a grain of salt. I always look for trends, you know, wait until there are several bad reviews on the same topic. And then maybe it's worth noticing, but you're not going to be able to please everyone. So if you've got one person who's particularly vocal and they give you a bad review about something, doesn't necessarily mean you need to fix whatever problem they're having. You cannot please everyone, but that is a topic for another day. You've probably seen on Google, especially, you get a star rating. Getting more reviews gives you that makes that star rating, well, more accurate. But also it can be very, for the longest time, the Bangor SBDC Google page only had like 3 reviews, and one of them was a bad review. And I can't remember, I think it might have even been a spam review. So our star rating was like 4.3 or something. It wasn't great. But once we started reaching out and getting some more reviews on there, they were, you know, all good, thankfully. But it gave a chance for that star rating, put more numbers into the pot, so it could bring that rating right up and offset that one bad review. So SEO is search engine optimization. This is basically how Google shows you to people searching for things. So if I search for restaurants near me, it's important that the restaurants that are trying to optimize their search engine optimization end up at the top of my page. And that's not something any business can do just automatically. It takes time. You have to prove yourself to be relevant with Google, and having reviews on your Google page, on social media sites, on other sites, shows Google that this is a legitimate business with customers interacting with it, and that they should show you higher on their search results. So it's getting reviews and interacting with those reviews is really good for search engine optimization as well. So if I sold you on why reviews are important, one last thing I should put on this list is that they're actually fairly easy to deal with. Of all the marketing efforts that you're going to be doing in your business, reviews are not that hard to get. First off, remember to limit where you're trying to get them, because if you are trying to get reviews on every site, it's going to make it more difficult. And you also don't want to hound the same customer and ask them for reviews in 3 different places, because that's just rude and asking a lot. So limit the number of platforms that you're getting reviews on. Make it easy for people. And I'll show you an example in a minute here of an email interaction, but basically you're just sending them a link and saying, give me feedback. And if you send them the link that brings them right to the page that you want them to leave a review on, they just click the link and write a couple words and they're done. If you interact with a customer in your business and you give them like a business card that says, leave us a review, and you're expecting them to take that card, go home, get on their computer, or go to their car, get on their phone, leave a review, that's actually more difficult for them. It's not hard by any means, but the idea is if you can make it as easy as possible for them to just click something right there on the spot, takes them 1 minute, letting them know it's only going to take a moment. This isn't a big, you're not asking them to take a survey or anything. Reducing the barriers to nudge them to do what you want them to do. And that's actually good advice for a lot of different aspects of businesses. Reduce the barriers to nudge people to do what you want them to do. It's a fun practice. Be careful when you are asking for reviews. Don't bribe them. Don't bribe them into giving you a good review. So you can technically say, leave me a review and be entered into a drawing, but you can't say, leave me a good review. So be very careful with the language that you use when you're asking. This is sort of what I was talking about a minute ago. You could either give them a business card or have a sign in your shop that says leave a review. You can shoot them an email with a link. If you want to make it a little bit more accessible, again, reducing those barriers, a sign with a QR code could be a nice way to get them to act immediately. Say, scan this card and leave us a review. And now they're standing there in line at your store or waiting for something or whatever. It gives them sort of something to do to keep their hands busy, and it's made it very easy for them to do it. Strike while the iron is hot. So while it's fresh in their head, if you can ask for it immediately, depending on what your business is. If you are following up with a client after an interaction, it's a good opportunity to say, hey, by the way, can you take just 1 minute or 60 seconds to leave me a review, since you seem to have a positive experience today. So asking them immediately after following services is great. And also just note the difference. So reviews, feedback, and surveys are 3 very different things. Reviews are public. Reviews you are using as advertising so that other customers, new customers, can see that people were happy with your product or service. Feedback, people use these terms in different ways, but when I say feedback, I'm referring to more sort of private reviews, private feedback, where I'm asking my customers to give me some insight that isn't necessarily going to show anywhere on the internet. So it's just for me, for my internal business knowledge. I owned a coffee shop for a time, and I tried to keep up and get some public reviews and keep my star rating and up and all of that. But I also at one point did a online, what did I call it? A virtual suggestion box, I think is what I called it. And I reached out to my customers and asked them to just give me some feedback. I said, hey, now's your chance. It's all anonymous. Tell me what you want to tell me. And that I got a fair amount of responses, and a lot of it was kind of painful to hear because it was all anonymous and it wasn't public. So people were candid. And I tried to track some commonalities. So for example, people complained about parking accessibility to my shop. People complained about my hours, they wanted me to be open a little later, that kind of a thing. So any commonalities I kind of paid some attention to and tried to decide if it was worth acting on. And there are also surveys, which is another form of feedback, sometimes a little bit more lengthy, a little bit more guided, where you're coming up with questions, specific questions to ask people. With my feedback, I really just wanted to keep it broad and get whatever people were interested in saying to me. But with a survey, you kind of have a more intended purpose. And sometimes you can get some data from surveys to work with in other ways. So those are 3 very different concepts. But the reviews that we're talking about today are collecting feedback from customers so that the public can see how great you are in the eyes of your customers. I should go without saying, but obviously don't fake it. There are things that you can spend money on to get a whole bunch of good reviews, which you think will jack up your search engine optimization and make you look really awesome. Like, just don't do it. I mean, it's unethical. It's obvious in small businesses in Maine. Like, you can see through that pretty easily usually. And it also can get you kicked off of these sites, which then you're behind where you were originally anyway. So this is just an example of how you could ask through email. You'll get these slides again in the follow-up email. So you can copy this word for word if you'd like. It wasn't mine. It came from this website linked at the bottom. But it's basically just, keeping a subject line to grab the person's attention. It's personal. It's thanking them. It mentions, I think it's nice that they acknowledge they know that this Sarah person has been a customer for 3 years. So it's like, ooh, wow, they really are paying attention. They know me. That's nice. Explains a little bit, just brief context as far as why you're reaching out. And it includes a link. So that underlined section there is a link. They use the term feedback, even though it is a public review. I think it's kind of a nice, friendly term. But they clearly explain that this is public feedback, that it's a review. It's not a private feedback thing. So this is just a nice example of an email that you could take and send a mass email out to all of whoever you're trying to collect reviews from. Remember to use the BCC function so that it's private, so that your customers aren't seeing each other's emails. So this is a link again. You'll get this in the follow-up. If you do not have a Google business profile, I purposely left this here. It used to be called Google My Business. Now it's called Google Business Profile. All this is when you search for the name of your business on Google, this is that box that pops up. If you're on a desktop, it pops up to the right of the search results. If you're on a phone, it pops up immediately. And it's free and very easy to set up at this link here. Really helps with Google's search engine optimization and recognizing you. And it's just an at a glance, so customers can see your business at a glance. It is a little bit trickier if you are if you don't have a physical business with an address that's public. Say you are based out of your home and you serve service areas, I serve Bangor Brewer, Holden, Dedham, whatever. You can still set up a business profile. It's just a little bit more complex. And there are some instructions. They have some great help topics on the Google section of the site. So definitely worth doing. And this is the best place to collect reviews, in my opinion. So let's shift gears a little. Let's talk about responding to reviews. So 97% of people who read reviews also read the comments, the responses from the businesses. 45% of customers say they're more likely to visit a business if it responds to negative reviews, which I think is an interesting statistic. By the way, these numbers, those percentages are linked to the websites where I got them from. I didn't just make them up. They may be a little bit outdated, but I can't imagine they shift terribly much over time, if not more, as more people are on the internet. Bottom line with responding to reviews, do it. Respond to every single one. We'll talk about how in a second. You can very rarely remove reviews. So if you get a bad one, or if you get one that isn't accurate, you can't make it go away, but you can respond to it to try to mitigate the damage. Should go without saying, but be professional. So even if you're a company brand, maybe you have your own voice, you have language that you use, you're trying to be personable and genuine, keep it professional, even if you can be tempted to be defensive or angry at some bad reviews. Brief, genuine. So get it done, be professional, be brief, be genuine. Simple, right? Not so much. Here's the easy part. Responding to the good reviews. So somebody says, I had a wonderful experience in your business. I'll definitely be back. Thank you. 5 stars. Okay, great. You might think I can, be done with it. You should respond to it. You should take 10 seconds to respond with something very short and sweet. Thank them for the review. If you can acknowledge something in the review, oh, thank you, Sarah. It was nice to see you. I'm glad you enjoyed your latte. A little bit personal, just makes them feel more important if you can, but just thank you is good enough. Sometimes you might want to throw something in there that says, please come back anytime, or could be fun. You want to be careful, but if it gives you an opportunity to upsell something. So if they had the gingerbread latte and the gingerbread latte pairs really nicely with the cinnamon donut, you can say, come back anytime and try our cinnamon donut. So, be genuine about it. Don't just upsell to try to upsell and sound like a used car salesman. But if you can genuinely throw something in there that you think they would actually enjoy, great opportunity. Thanks, Sarah. Glad you loved your cinnamon latte. Come on back and try the peppermint one in the Christmas season. I don't know. That didn't actually sound genuine. So use your words, not mine. So let's talk about bad reviews, because these are the ones that can be very hard to respond to and are probably more important to respond to. So Step one, take a breath. You do want to respond promptly. You should try to respond within 24 hours if you can, but don't respond in the heat of the moment if that review upsets you or makes you angry. Again, be genuine. This is going to be a balance here because you might, the genuine answer might be something that isn't appropriate and not professional, but be as genuine as you can. Apologize once. You don't need to layer it on. You don't need to say it more than once, but one genuine, honest apology. Validate what they've said, empathize with them if you can, say, I understand that you had a, bad experience because of blah, 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 kind of mirroring it back to them to show them that you understand is a nice practice, just in general, when you're getting negative feedback in any way. Luckily, with responding to a bad review, you have a moment typing it out to think about it. You don't have to do it on the spot. If you can, take action and offer to fix their issues. So validate, acknowledge that hey, I understand you had a bad experience. I apologize. I'd like to welcome you back to try to fix the issue, whatever that may be. You might need them to clarify. So they might not have left enough detail. I always think it's nice, if you are the owner, to put your name at the end, Allie, owner, and then they know who's responding to them, because otherwise it just looks like it's somebody, the business page. It could be anyone. So keep your initial reply short, apologize, validate, action, but keep it short. And we'll look at some examples of not so short replies that were not good. If you do need to understand some clarification, if you need to have some back and forth with this person to figure out how best to fix the issue, take it to a private message. So a good rule of thumb is leave, one comment response. And if you believe more conversation needs to happen, say, please send the page a private message, or give them your email or your phone number and say, could we please have a conversation about this? So don't keep going back and forth on the review. The conversation doesn't need to be public. Only your initial response should be public. And if you totally alleviate the situation and make this person happy, and you are comfortable doing so down the road, you can ask them to leave you an updated review, and hopefully they're not going to necessarily remove the bad review, but it gives an update for people to say, oh, wow, they actually fixed that issue, and this person went from being unhappy to happy. So more on this in a moment with some fun examples. But first, what about those reviews that are scam? We get a ton of them on our Maine SBDC Facebook page, and it's such a bummer because they're just kind of taking up space, the spam ones. Keep an eye out for them. It's usually pretty obvious. The ones that are actually like a bot putting out spam are obvious because they have nothing to do with your business. It's usually like they'll give somebody's name and they'll say, so-and-so helped me so much to get rid of my home mortgage. Like, it's weird stuff, but it has nothing to do with your business. So it's not actually a person. There are some that aren't really spam, but that are sort of just not accurate or not really appropriate. So here's an example of a real one. This was a restaurant that wasn't even open yet, and someone gave a doesn't recommend on Facebook and said, should publish menu and other info on restaurant. Poor marketing. Let's hope the food service and atmosphere are good. And I mean, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way because the business wasn't even open yet. So I think an appropriate response would be to, comment and welcome, be like, oh, we look forward to opening on August 1st. We will publish the menu when it's finalized. We hope to see you there. Like, you don't need to apologize to them. You can't make them remove it, but you can respond to clarify for other people reading this so that other people don't think, oh, well, wait a minute, why are they open? I'm confused. So yeah, you can clarify for people. This was actually a review I got on for my coffee shop. So it was a cafe and bakery, and I did breakfast, lunch, coffee, baked goods, all of that. And somebody left a 5-star review once and said, friendly owner, can't wait to try the pizza on the 28th of December. And I was like, I'm not selling pizza, but I knew that there was a food business across the street from me that was adding pizza to their menu. So I responded to clarify. I thanked them for the review, but I said, I think you maybe confused us with, and I gave the name of the business across the street. Again, the review's still there on that site. Luckily it was 5 stars, so good for me. But anybody reading it would know that I did not have pizza because I responded. And when you do get the spam that's actually not just customers being confused, but true bot spam, here are some links that you'll get in the slides to remove Facebook reviews and how to request a review of the review by Google on your Google business profile. So luckily they want to remove any spam reviews because it makes Google or Facebook or Yelp or any of them, it makes them look bad to have spam. So they actually want to help you out. Doesn't mean that they make it super easy to get it removed, but it's definitely worth trying. And here's another link to a blog about fighting review spam. So let's go through a few examples, look at sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly of responses to reviews. So this is just a review of a gym. Somebody put awesome place to get fit, very motivating, supportive, highly recommend. Someone responded, the owner or whoever responded, thank you, person's name, we're so happy to have you. They replied, they showed appreciation, they kept it short and sweet. 10 out of 10. Nothing negative to say about this response. Another one, traveling through, great quick wrap for me, lovely strawberry salad for the wife, friendly owner, recommend highly. The owner, who in this case was me, responded, thank you for the review, so glad you were happy with your experience. Genuine, thanked them, responded. I hope I responded promptly, I can't say for sure. 10 out of 10, nothing really to say. I could have added a line there that said, if your wife liked the strawberry salad, she should try the blah, blah, blah. But in this case, I didn't have a genuine recommendation, so kept it short and sweet. So let's get a little bit less perfect here. You don't necessarily have to read this whole thing, but long story short, the person's complaining because they bought cheesecake. Someone got sick and they were concerned about, food safety and all of that. So they put, do not recommend this business. So the business responded. I'll read the response because we're going to critique it a little bit. They said, we deeply apologize that you and your mother had this experience. We date the cheesecake according to the vendor of the item. We'll reach out to that vendor tomorrow morning to discuss the dating, make sure it's satisfactory. Until then, we have removed all the slices that were delivered prior to today. Again, our deepest apologies. We'll report back when we find out from the vendor. We will be private messaging you to get some info in order to get you a full refund on your product. So they apologized. Great. They did apologize twice, which I didn't love. They said deeply apologize twice, which a little bit extra. They took action, like they were removing the cheesecake that they were considered that may not have been legitimate. So excellent. They recommended a private message so that they could, again, take action to get this person a full refund. So they validated. So all in all, a very good job. 9 out of 10, in my opinion. I did dock them 1 point just because it was a little bit long. They deeply apologized twice, which can start to tiptoe onto ingenuine territory. But all in all, great, decent response. So here's one. This is where it gets fun. This is where it gets long. Long story short, and you can read this later. It's kind of a fun read, but bad review. And the owner responded with this very lengthy comment. And you can actually see there were 12 additional comments after this one. So they responded, and then the person reviewing responded. There became this whole argument in the comments. It was really fun to read. And this business actually has had many interactions like this on their negative reviews, which I've gone down that rabbit hole reading those, and it's just, yeah, it's like reality TV. So they were condescending. So they made fun of the fact that the person spelled the word wait, W-A-I-T, wrong. They used the wrong version of weight. So they said, first of all, when you say it wasn't worth the wait, did you mean the actual weight of the food or the wait for how long? Like, they were very condescending. Like, come on, this is the owner of a business responding. And they were so angry when they replied that they were totally rude. Incredibly unprofessional, talking about the customer stuffing cash into the bra. Like, come on, really? It was long. Like, I couldn't even fit this whole review on this page. It just kept going. So business owner, this is not professional. I give them 1 out of 10 only because they actually did respond. But there were so many things, like, as a business owner, this is the extreme. So one more, a little shorter. Someone left a good review, a mostly good review about Jimmy John's, that their order was wrong. So Jimmy John's responded, I'm all over it, Judy. Send me your address and phone number to facebook@jimmyjohns.com so I can gain your trust again. So I give them some props for being on brand. You know, the way they say, I'm all over it, Judy. Kind of the casual colloquial terminology was kind of fun. Do kind of dock them. They didn't actually apologize. They said they would take action. They encouraged this person to reach out for private conversation. They want to gain their trust again. They never actually acknowledged responsibility for getting the order wrong. So kind of dock some points for that. All in all, mostly good, 8 out of 10. So you can see some examples of how people respond to reviews, and it's kind of fun to think about. Every business owner does it different. Every business owner has their own sort of brand and willingness to be professional in language that they use. But these are just what I recommend as best practices. And all in all, so what do we take away here? Reviews are super powerful. If you remember those statistics on one of the earlier slides about 9 out of 10 people reading reviews before they go, again, depending on the industry, but they're super powerful and they're very easy to get. It's a matter of remembering. I did it myself, like I said, until about a year or two ago. The Bangor Maine SBDC page had like 3 reviews, and it was just because we didn't really pay attention to it. We didn't notice. We didn't have a webinar like this telling us we should go get some. And I sent out an email to a bunch of clients. I BCC'd them so they couldn't see each other. And I got like 30 reviews in one day. And it was great. And it was super easy and super powerful to other people who were checking out the Bangor SBDC office. Respond to reviews, all of them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And balance being professional with being genuine. So that is all I have for today, but this link here will take you to our website where you can request one-on-one advising. If you do not already have an advisor or want to dig in deeper to any of this or any other, marketing or business planning related topic, we are happy to help.